This is Nat Tanya Davine Stewart. I am here in Richmond, California, with
Rasheed Shabazz.
So we're at Rise Youth Center.
Okay.
So please tell me, what is that? It's not an acronym, people.
Nah.
It's not an acronym. In fact, the things that they do defy acronyms. They do so many things. So can you give me a little skinny about Rise?
Yeah, it's hard to get the skinny when it's so robust.
It's so robust.
That would be good for the acronym. Robust.
Youth.
Sincerely empowering.
No, that doesn't make any sense. Let me see. I'll think of an acronym. I'll legitimately figure out what Rise could mean by the end of the show. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So my name is Rasheed Shabazz. I direct the Media Arts and Culture program here at the Rise Youth Center here in Richmond, California. And yeah, Rise is not an acronym. And the short, or the skinny, as you shared, about Rise is we're a youth development center that grew out of youth organizing. That started in the early 2000s. There was a lot of intercommunal violence, and in response to that, young people said we need a place where we can be, a place where we can be safe, and a place where we can just be. And so they began organizing with a group that was called Youth Together, or that is called Youth Together. That group still exists, and that organizing ultimately led to the opening of the doors of Rise in 2008. We do youth development, and we connect it across different areas of life. So that includes the Media Arts and Culture department, which I supervise. There's also community health, education and justice, and youth organizing. And so by bringing all of those different tools and perspectives together, we believe that we can develop young people into their full selves, and they can be able to lead this city, lead this state, this country, this world, to be much better than it is today.
That's okay. This is good, because that was one of my questions. One of my questions is, why is it important to have a multifaceted youth center, which you kind of just definitely answered. So I don't know if he's a mind reader, probably not. But when I walked around, I was sort of fascinated that you have an office for mental health services as well as for physical sort of health services. And you're like, yeah, this is a youth center. It's not an art center. It's a youth center, but we use art to sort of get at some of these issues, which is kind of cool. So how effective do you think you are in this model?
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a couple questions in there. You got it in there. It's okay. So just to touch on the concept of what we call our integrated model of bringing all those different things together, depending on who you meet that works at Rise or young people that are impacted by our programs, you would have maybe a very different perspective of what Rise does. And so with our community health department, they do what we call YPAR, or Youth Participatory Action Research Projects. And so young people will come together and research an issue around health, and then they'll come up and do presentations. And so you might think we just do youth-driven community health or scholarly inquiry, if that's how you learned about Rise. Or if you came to our sold-out annual production last month, you'd be like, oh man, Rise does great performing arts and theater. It combines music and dance and all these different things. And we do all that. I think we do it fairly well, but we also emphasize the connection between those different things. And so you can be an artist and not take care of your mental health. And that may lead to the creation of some really creative things for sure, but it's also important to realize we utilize our art for healing. And so those two are they're inextricably linked for us here at Rise. Our origin story came out of young people organizing and saying that, we need a space, and we had a capacity to organize and conceptualize a space for ourselves. And so the fact that it's been here for nearly 10 years, I think, is some proof of its effectiveness. And I would say Rise, like, I've been here for a year and working in Richmond, and I think Rise is at the forefront of a lot of different things around, again, the health and wellness, not just for our young people, but also informing adults that work with young people, or people who work in different systems that impact young people, definitely in the arts, as well as doing things around organizing and building the capacity of young people. And then our work to just divert people from the injustice system. So people who are being fairly targeted, whether that's in the community with police racial profiling, or in the schools where young people have to deal with police. And you can go online and read about some of the different activities of some police in Oakland and Richmond, and human trafficking. And so we have some of these folks are the adults that are working with young people. So we have to create different things for them and develop the capacity of young people to be able to advocate for themselves.
Now, in your initial statement, you said that you want the students to be able to leave here and be leaders wherever they go in the world, kind of thing.
We talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's your demographic? Like, who do you serve? Like, I walked around and it seemed extremely diverse. But what's your population? You said 13 to 21.
Yeah, so we serve young people ages 13 to 21, but primarily, I'd say, looking at the numbers, about 15 to 17-year-olds is the largest demographic. And so those are like 9th grade to 11th graders that are coming here. And as far as racial demographics, it's about 50% Black or African American. And I think it's like 35% or a quarter Latino. We do have some API or Asian Pacific Islanders, and then a few white children as well. And so, and then people all in between those different racial or ethnic groups as well. And then I think in many instances that reflects much of the population of Richmond, but then to an extent it reflects the local, or not local, hyper-local population, because within Richmond there are some geographic boundaries that some young people don't always feel safe to cross.
Okay. And then I did notice that you're very LGBTQ friendly space and nurturing space. So you're not doing sort of like exclusivity in terms of sexuality and gender. Like you're very open for those demographics also.
Yeah.
Okay, cool beans. Okay, so my last question is 5 years, where do you see yourself in the center? Big dream. Oh, that's not, you know what? Before you answer that, how do we help? Like if I live in Richmond or I live in Oakland, do I donate to the organization? Do I volunteer? Like how do I become involved and support what you're doing? Or just send my child? Like how do I do that?
So it just depends on who the person is and what they do, and their skill set and what their needs or resources may be. So, if you have a child, like Rise is open, it's free to young people ages 13 to 21, and you can be involved in a range of different activities. Just visit risecenter.org and see all of those different programs. Summer program starts on June 22nd, June 19th. And there's different ways people can help. Like definitely financially, supports the organization. But then also people have different skill sets. So like right now I'm talking to different people who are interested in volunteering, whether it's teaching classes related to like jazz and swing. They came to our annual production around the juke, about the juke joint, Richmond Renaissance, and they're like, oh, we lead a swing class. We'd like to do that with young people. So we're gonna bring them in. People who are graphic designers come in. It's possible to do workshops. Every now and then we reach out and have people do our flyers and things like that, even though we primarily do that in-house and develop the young people to be able to create materials like that. So if there's a skill that you could share with young people, it's possible that you can come in and volunteer. There may be different pipelines, connections. So there's, again, for like my own department, like if you need photography, we have young people who are really good photographers and could take your headshots, and it'd be great if you can compensate them for that. So it's a lot of different points of entry to support the work of the Rise Youth Center. And I think particularly as we're preparing to expand our doors, and so in the next few months there'll be more information about how people can give and really support like the future generation of young people in Richmond through helping us develop new facilities.
Okay. And so this leads me to this next, because you're here. Yes, I know. Okay, 3. That what in 5 years for you, like what's your trajectory and for the organization, and then the people who actually, the students who are receiving the services, like what's the big picture?
Yeah, so I think all of that, it varies. So 5 years we will have our new facilities here in Richmond, and we'll have hopefully some different partner organizations housed in those new facilities as well. We'll have albums and mixtapes and music videos and theater production. We'll be doing murals. We'll have a black box theater, and so we'll have shows here. We'll have more space for the counseling. So I think that's part of like the trajectory of the organization as far as facilities wise and space and our capacity. I'd hope some of our staff will have moved into different leadership positions. So like people who are assistants may be coordinators or maybe managers, or they've moved up and on to other organizations, return to school and do things of that nature. And then I hope some of our young people, particularly in like the what we call Riot, the Richmond Youth Organizing Team, and also AMP, which is under my department, Media Arts and Culture, which AMP means Advanced Media Producers. Hopefully we'll be contracting them to do different work, or they'll be in some of the staff positions 5 years from now. I'd like to have passed on a strong functional department to someone else while I'm studying to get my PhD in city and regional planning and history. And, you know, I can come back to Rise, lead a workshop every now and then. But I will have personally obtained more like skills and connections to amplify the different work that I do.
Thank you. Amazing. If you're clear about your intent, you're clear about the vision, you spoke it. I truly believe we speak things into existence, and you just planted a deeply rooted seed for a whole lot of stuff, not just for yourself, but this organization and people who come through these doors. So I hope that will manifest and will manifest in due time. Wherever I go, I'm trying to find, again, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We are the solution bearers. So I appreciate you so much. So have a good day. Yeah, you're good. Thank you so much, love.